A very warm welcome, just in case you are a Good Business Fortnight component champion or partner and you're not sat at the front, there is some reserve seating, week one on this side, week one on this side. Let's just fill it up. Everyone, latecomers are nipping in, and we want to all get seated, and it's going to be a great morning, isn't it, together? So we are so thrilled to have you join us this morning for this very special occasion, including our very special guest. And my job, first of all, is to get everyone seated and calm, so I've managed that bit. I'm Jenny Herrera, and I'm the CEO of the Good Business Charter, and you're all so very welcome to our 5th anniversary celebration. If I've not talked to you yet, hopefully I'll get a chance at the end. Courtesy of our founder, Julian, we have a tight, content-packed hour and a half for you. It's going to include 3 short keynotes, a panel discussion on embedding responsible business, and something of an awards ceremony. Ambitious? Well, we like a challenge. Before we get started, it does fall to me to do the housekeeping. Hopefully you found the toilets on your way in. They're just as you go through the door and then just kind of go down the corridor between the meeting rooms. There are no plans for a fire drill today. So if we do hear the fire alarm, the instructions are as follows. On hearing the alarm bells ring continuously, evacuate the premises using the nearest fire exit. They're located on all 4 corners of Congress House. All persons must proceed directly to the assembly point on the southeast corner of Bedford Square. And when you reach the assembly point, report to the Congress Centre Fire Marshal, who will advise when it's safe to return to the building or next steps. And of course, lifts don't work in when a fire alarm's going, so you'll have to take the stairs. But hopefully, we won't have any problems with that today. On your seats, you'll find an A5 leaflet. Now, Julian had wanted to put one of these on your seats. So this is an excellent landmark report that the University of York published in November last year, tracking the success of the GBC. It's a 60-page report, and I politely pointed out that would mean the destruction of at least 3 rainforests. So all you're getting today is this. But we hope you will use the QR code and read online. We also today launched our own report. This is our 5-year review. Great to have Danny from Oodle, who designed it for us, here in the room. And this really, it doubles up as our annual report, looking at the last year, but also more generally at key milestones over the last 5 years, particular statistics over the last 5 years as well. So on your little leaflet, you should have a QR code. Takes you to our agenda, takes you to the annual report, and takes you to that University of York report. And on the back, we have, just to make things easier for you, a few key quotes from the York report for you to read. So let me run through the agenda. Very shortly, we'll be joined by our 3 keynote speakers, our founder, Julian, our host, Paul Nowak, Secretary General of the TUC, and I can't quite believe I'm saying this, but the Deputy Prime Minister, Angela Rayner, will be joining us. I do hope, as Julian's already said, you'll join me in giving them an extremely warm welcome when they arrive. After that, we're going to move swiftly into a panel discussion on embedding responsible business behaviour, where I'll be joined by speakers from retail bank TSB, the University of York, and wealth management firm Procura. And after that, we want to recognise the efforts of particular organisations we've worked with over the past fortnight in what could potentially make the Guinness Book of World Records for the shortest awards ceremony ever. We're very conscious, and Julian was particularly conscious, that your time is precious. So we do hope to be all wrapped up by 10:30 a.m. at the latest, but there will be a chance to stay for more caffeine and networking. We're not racing off, and we would love to talk to you. But likewise, if you do have to slip out beforehand, then of course, absolutely fine. We will be filming the speeches today, and we do have a couple of photographers present. If you do not want to appear in any photos, we do have some green landlards. If you can indicate that you don't want to be in the photos, we'll give you one of those. It just makes it easier for our photographer to edit you out or make sure you're not in the shot. You, however, can take photos and share from the event. But can we just ask you, don't disclose where we are until after the event has happened. So either do it afterwards, or if you're going to do it from the event, just don't say where we are, please. Hopefully that all makes sense. So we're in Good Business Fortnight. Many of you will be very familiar with that. Some of you who are guests today will be thinking, what on earth is that? Well, that is a national campaign. We started it last year with Good Business Week, really, and the reason we do it in February is around our anniversary of when we were launched. And it's essentially a social media campaign on one level, and also we encourage organisations to do stuff with their workforce. It's a great opportunity to do some well-being, to go and do an environmental project, to just celebrate good business, because we're bored sick, aren't we, about hearing all the bad stuff, all the scandals, and so really we take this time. And this year we've made it a fortnight, because to be frank, last year at the end of the week, I felt bad, because some of our 10 components had got missed out. We focused on the main ones, and it just felt wrong. So we've done it as a fortnight, and we've had one day for each. We did put real living wage and fair hours and contracts together as one, because we really wanted to kick off with Responsible Business Monday, which takes the whole package. But because many of the issues are the same around fair hours and around real living wage, then it worked to do it that way. So last week we did all our employee ones, and this week we're doing our others. Welcome, Kieran. Do you want to take a seat up here? So I do hope you engaged on socials, and if not, this is your opportunity to go and see what we've been getting up to over the last 2 weeks. Today is Customer Thursday, and we finish tomorrow with Fair Tax Friday. So do share things, do look at what's going on there. Help us raise awareness to drive standards up and see these components become the norm in UK business. And I also do want to welcome as well recent accreditations. We always like to celebrate recent accreditations. Make UK have joined us, which is brilliant. And Peabody Housing Association is our first housing association accredited just this week. So we're really excited about what the next 5 years have in store. Okay, so I think without further ado, it is my privilege and great pleasure to welcome our keynote speakers, Julian Richer, Paul Nowak, and Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner. Please show them your support. Our first keynote speaker needs no introduction. Founder of award-winning hi-fi retail chain Richer Sounds, in the past decade and a half, he's also turned his attention to a number of really important issues facing our society and done something about them. His passion and his commitment, particularly to helping those who have no voice and suffer, is deeply inspiring. It has been my absolute privilege to work for him and help make his vision for the Good Business Charter a reality. Please welcome our founder, Julian Richer.
Wow. Where do I start? I can't believe I'm standing here, really. I'm suitably humbled. So I shall kick off with welcoming you all today to Congress House for the 5th anniversary celebration of the Good Business Charter. And a huge thanks to you all for coming and giving up your time to be with us today. And particularly with the early start. I know some of you have really made a big effort to be here. We really appreciate that. I'm sorry if any of you are disappointed after seeing me on Zoom. I normally sit on a stool, which is the reason I look about 7 foot tall. So unfortunately, you're seeing the real version today. Far more importantly, I'm very, very honoured that the Deputy Prime Minister has also especially come to see us. What an amazing gesture. Can we please show our appreciation? Thank you. Thank you. Did I say stop? Anyway, and I hope whatever your political affiliations, you'll make her feel very welcome. I'm a big fan. Not knowing much about her until I listened to her fantastic interview on The Rest is Politics. Please do listen to it if you haven't. Absolutely amazing. She's one impressive person. I'm delighted that she's being so supportive of the Good Business Charter and our 1,000 plus signatories for recognising the vital part good businesses play in the economy. Sorry about this. And wanting to celebrate that with us. I know some of us will be struggling with, in particular, the national insurance tax increases, especially those in hospitality and retail. And whilst I'm personally affected too, surely we must all acknowledge that the failing NHS and criminal justice system, the appalling lack of social housing, the shocking state of our roads, and many crumbling schools too, all need cash to put right. So it's pretty obvious to me, as a small retailer, with just basic arithmetic skills, we have to all pull together and chip in to help invest in our society to make it better. Adam Smith Riley said, "You cannot have a happy society where the greater part are poor and miserable." And we at the Good Business Charter want to help move the dial to make it better. Having said that, I'd rather the Chancellor first went after the so-and-sos not paying their taxes. The wonderful team at TaxWatch tell me that £40 billion a year is being trousered in this way. Perhaps our right honourable guest might mention this to Ms. Reeves the next time they bump into each other in the corridor. As for the Employment Rights Bill, while it's still in consultation, we are very supportive. While I'm sure there will be compromises if needed, there's also quite a bit of misinformation out there. Of course, limiting evil zero-hour contracts won't stop employers from hiring seasonal workers over Christmas, and bosses won't be stuck with bad workers for life after taking them on. A 9-month probation period is planned, which surely gives plenty of time to assess a new colleague. And please remind me which religion or moral code endorses paying workers below a real living wage, or accepts the uncertainty and misery zero-hour contracts cause when imposed on workers against their will. We would like to work with government and help them stand up to bad businesses who abuse and exploit their workers, who rip off their customers, and who don't pay their taxes. And that would include ensuring that government procurement goes to companies who do pay them. I know that all of you who are signatories fully accept the value of happy workers being treated well, in terms of the better work they do as a consequence, the reduced labour turnover, meaning big savings in recruitment and training, and if you're a retailer, from much reduced shrinkage too. Some of you will know Richard Sounds has been voted the best retailer of any kind by the Which Consumers Association for the last 6 years running. Precisely, we believe, because we do treat our workers well. And we have a very wide-ranging clientele too. We even had an incredibly realistic Angela Rayner lookalike in our Brighton store recently. Twice, unless it was actually you. If you'd have told me, I'd have given you a discount. On a serious note, throughout history, employees have been treated badly. And even in this country during COVID, workers were dying in sweatshops in the Midlands in overcrowded conditions, not even earning the minimum wage, which I'm sure makes us all very ashamed. But at least the Good Business Charter is doing something about it by being a beacon of safety and good treatment for workers and differentiating ourselves from bad business. And this is important because capitalism is a double-edged sword. It has been responsible for much ghastliness through history, but it can also be a force for good, producing products and services we love and depend on, decent jobs for workers, which we desperately need, and paying taxes to keep society's infrastructure going. I'm sure I'm preaching to the converted when I say by treating workers and all our subcontractors well, we sleep better at night, our organisations prosper, and by signing up to the Good Business Charter, you get the recognition you rightly deserve and a fantastic USP, which gives you real differentiation in the marketplace, encouraging the public to beat a path to your door. I'm sorry, I'm just going to send Paul a cheque for a new lectern. Right. It helps if you're a bit of a masochist too, because our arguably high bar of committing to our 10 components is hard to achieve. But once you've done it, as most of you in the room know already, you will have earned society's respect and can rightly hold your head high in the pub amongst your peers. Please don't forget the crucial statistic that I want you to remember when you pay our minuscule subscription. The TSB have been fantastic supportive from the beginning. Is George here today? Right there. You're a good man. Thank you for your support. Anyway, back to the speech. The TSB's, the bank. Very good. Thank you. The TSB's research shows that 97% of the public, 97% of the public want to spend their hard-earned cash with responsible businesses. But they can't know who they are until they sign up with us. We're the only accreditation scheme out there identifying suitably qualified responsible businesses as defined by both the CBI and TUC, who work together very closely with us all along. I'm going to repeat that last sentence. We are the only accreditation scheme out there identifying suitably qualified responsible businesses. I'll wrap up by saying we have some really exciting plans to turbocharge the Good Business Charter over the next 5 years too. First, we're planning more public events to explain and encourage good business. And we'd love all of you to put a good word in too, please, whenever you get the chance. please. We've also been targeting the UK's biggest companies in a series of exclusive dinners coming up. 3 already in the diary, full of FTSE 100 bosses, keen to hear what we were about. There's a hard-hitting national advertising campaign, both in broadsheets and social media, coming soon. And we're planning an online marketplace just for good business charter organisations, which we hope will be fantastic for the 97% and for businesses too. I'm sure Paul won't mind us taking a little business from Amazon. Finally, thank you to Jenny and our great home team for organising this event. Thank you to Paul for his ongoing support, and to Tim and his colleagues for helping us also. A huge thank you to the Deputy Prime Minister for her time and effort visiting us today. We really, really are grateful, along with the other speakers on our panel later. And finally, thank you all for coming. Please join us in setting us a business standard for the future, which will both improve society and which will reward us in turn. A win-win we can all be proud of. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Julian, and morning, everybody. Let me just start by giving everybody here a big TUC welcome to Congress House, the home of the trade union movement. I am slightly discombobulated this morning, not just because I was celebrating Everton's last-minute equaliser against Liverpool last night, but this is the room in which our General Counsel normally meets. So normally, if I'm stood here, I'm looking out at Sharon Graham of Unite or Mick Lynch from the RMT. It's a slightly different audience today, but you are all very welcome. Thank you for coming. 2 particular thank yous. Firstly, just to echo Julian's thanks to Angela Rayner, our Deputy Prime Minister, a former union rep herself, someone who I know is passionate about delivering a framework of employment law that is good both for workers and for employers. I also want to give Julian some particular thanks as well for all of the incredible work that he has done in pulling together this event, and for all the work, actually, Julian, you've done over the last 5 years through the Good Business Charter. Now, I will take issue with a couple of things that Julian said about me. I have not been the cool one in any dynamic duo ever. And anybody who's got Spotify, you will soon find out I'm not the talented musician either that Julian has made me able to be. But he is right. Over the last couple of years, I think we've developed a really good working relationship and a friendship, which is based on the belief that work can be better and that business success and decent employment standards can and do go hand in hand. Some 5 years on from its launch, now over 1,000 businesses accredited through the Good Business Charter, SMEs, multinationals, charities, public bodies. I think that's a fantastic achievement, but this is really important work because while most businesses, and I do honestly believe this, strive to do the right thing, we still have a long way to go before all of British business is a genuine force for good. Maybe I'll just say 3 quick points about how we move in the right direction. The first point is this. The Good Business Charter, I think, is a big part of the change that we need. By signing up to the Charter, by implementing the Charter, even more importantly, you are demonstrating that ethical capitalism, which I know that Julian wrote about, is not just a slogan, it can be a reality. I mean, some of it is behind me. Paying a real living wage, ensuring effective worker voice, tackling disadvantage and discrimination, paying the fair share of tax. All of that and the other components of the Charter demonstrate powerfully that being a good business is good business, and firms that look after their workers and other stakeholders outperform those that don't. So I think the Charter plays a really important role, and I want to see it go from strength to strength. Second point is this, though. The Charter is really important. Good employers doing the right thing is really important, but we also need action from government. And I think that's where the Make Work Pay agenda and the Employment Rights Bill that Angela is leading alongside Johnny Reynolds is in the business department really does come in. And my key message today about that whole Make Work Pay agenda and the Employment Rights Bill is simply this. Good businesses have nothing to fear and everything to gain from this legislation. It is good for workers, it's good for employers, and it's good for our country overall. Earlier this week, the TUC published the results of a poll. Over 20,000 people took part in that poll, and that showed absolutely that overwhelmingly the reforms set out in the Employment Rights Bill are popular with the public, including voters from right across the political spectrum. Now, in some ways, I'm not surprised about that, because the bill is good for workers, but I am also deadly serious when I say that the bill is good for business too, because it will bring Britain into the international mainstream. It will stop decent employers, many of whom are in the room today, from being undercut by the cowboys and dodgy bosses, and it will help us address the staff and skill shortages that we have in the economy, with many firms still struggling to retain and to recruit some staff. Now, I'm realistic. I know that any change sometimes in employment law can be a frightening prospect for employers, particularly smaller employers who don't have big HR teams or lots of resources. But I also know that the overwhelming majority of employers do not use exploitative zero-hours contracts. The overwhelming majority of employers don't play fast and loose with unfair dismissal, wouldn't dream of threatening their staff with fire and rehire. Most responsible employers don't dodge their responsibility to pay fair sick pay so that staff aren't dragging themselves into work when they're ill. That's most employers, but some, unfortunately, do. And I have to say that sometimes I think that those complaining loudest about the bill are also some of those who said that the national minimum wage a quarter of a century ago would result in large-scale unemployment and business closures. They were wrong then, and I think that they're wrong now. So instead, I think actually the bill will level the playing field for the majority of employers who are doing the right thing, and it will deliver better, more secure, more rewarding work for millions of people. That, in turn, puts more money into local economies and local businesses. Third and final point from me is this, because I think you'll all be looking forward to hearing from our Deputy Prime Minister. I am confident that the bill will deliver positive change, and I'm confident partly because I think the government has been at pains to develop its proposals in consultation with, in partnership with business and with unions. I know that's something that Angela's taken seriously, and because it's that thing that we all have, I think, a collective responsibility, employers, unions, government, to do what we can to deliver a growing economy, yes, but a growing economy that benefits all working people everywhere in every region and nation of the UK. And we've been through some really tough times over the last few years, the turbulence of Brexit and the pandemic. We are right now in the midst of the sort of revolution being brought about by AI and digital technology, the transition to net zero in workplaces up and down the country. We've got a huge amount of uncertainty posed by potential trade wars, tariffs, and all the rest of it. I think that actually all of those collective challenges put an onus on us to do things differently, taking the high road to success. Time for business and unions and government to work together to deliver good work, to deliver a growing economy and one that rises living standards. I'm confident through the Good Business Charter, through the work that we're doing more generally, that we can do that together. Let's work together and make it happen. Thanks very much.
Wow. Well, thank you, Paul. That's fantastic. Really appreciate your kind words about what we're doing, and interested to hear what your thoughts on the Employment Rights Bill, of course. Your time, effort and support much appreciated. I think now, without further ado, I've got to hand the stage to a moment you've all been waiting for. Please give a seriously huge welcome to the Deputy Prime Minister.
Thank you. Thank you, and Paul, you should let business in more often. I got a better round of applause from them than I did when I was a union rep here. But it's absolute pleasure to be here, and I'm absolutely delighted to be back at Congress House and to see so many of you in the room, and with so many friends and amazing businesses here. The people in this room drive world-leading innovation, invest billions in your communities, and champion this country on the world stage. So I want to say thank you, because you do all this while delivering the highest standards for working people. That's why 5 years on, from the launch of the Good Business Charter, it is going from strength to strength, proving that being pro-worker isn't a barrier to success, it's a launch pad to it. You know that as Deputy Prime Minister, the reason I get up in the morning is to deliver for working people. And I know that you believe that too, because we know that fairness for working people doesn't hold back growth and innovation, it drives it. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, because our plan for a stronger, fairer, more resilient economy has in part been written by your success story, with jobs that are well paid and secure, with new standards that are fit for the 21st century and are unashamedly pro-business, pro-worker economy that harnesses the talents and the efforts of all its people and drives growth across the country. That's why this vision is backed by many of the best businesses. Businesses led by the likes of Julian and the 1,200 members of the Good Business Charter, from FTSE 100 companies to small and medium-sized enterprises, partnerships, councils, universities, charities and many others. And this thinking is precisely what is at the heart of the landmark new Employment Rights Bill. A bill that takes the very best standards from the very best businesses and extends it to millions of more workers. This new government has been clear. Better living standards is our number one mission, and we'll succeed in our mission when working people can contribute to the growth and benefit fairly from it. That's precisely why, when I took up office, we promised the biggest upgrade in workers' rights in a generation, nothing less than a New Deal for working people. We said that we would introduce the bill to deliver that within 100 days, and we fulfilled the promise that we made to the British public. And there were those that said we couldn't do it, and there were those that said we shouldn't. But let's be clear, you know, and we know, that change was needed. Like millions of people, I started my working life on low pay and never sure if I'd be able to make ends meet by the end of the month. Over decades, the good, secure jobs that our parents and our grandparents could build a life on were replaced by low pay and insecure work. Wages flatlined, in-work poverty grew, growth and productivity was strangled. Doing nothing wasn't an option. And this is something that the Conservatives once recognised. When they commissioned Matthew Taylor to review employment practices in the modern economy, he made scores of policy recommendations to harness new technologies, tackle insecure work and the sluggish economic growth. Many of these were welcomed by you, the business community, who recognise that you succeed when work is fair, and many of these recommendations Labour supported too at the time. But now the Conservatives have turned their face against reform. They demand we drop our plans. Well, we reject that, because we believe that you cannot turn 14 years of failure around with more of the same. We're building a new route to prosperity, from the bottom up and the middle out, not the top down. And through our planning reforms that build the homes and the infrastructure people need, kick-starting a skills revolution, a modern industrial strategy and a plan to tackle inactivity, we are laying the foundations for growth. And we'll achieve this not despite the Employment Rights Bill, but because of it. Because it is not just the biggest upgrade to workers' rights for a generation, it's also an upgrade to our growth prospects and for business too. By levelling the playing field so that good employers aren't undercut, by giving over 10 million people around the country stronger protections, by improving well-being in the workplace, we'll boost productivity, put more money in people's pockets and power sustained economic growth. Our opponents say we can't afford to do this, but the truth is we can't afford not to do it, because the greatest risk to the economy is more of the same. And without our bill and for our plan for growth, over 1 million people would be stuck on 0-hour contracts with no chance of a stable income or a mortgage. Without our bill, more working days will be lost through ill health, costing businesses money. Without our bill, there will be more burdens on the taxpayer, because we know the cost of poor quality, insecure work is eventually footed by taxpayers, whether that's in higher welfare bills or through bigger costs to the NHS. Our Employment Rights Bill charts a new approach, one that sees growth, in-work security as two sides of the same coin. That shouldn't be controversial. When working people have guaranteed hours that they can depend on, when they're protected from dismissal without good reason, when they're supported with family-friendly rights, they have more control over their lives and are more productive, and they are happier and healthier. So as Julian said so powerfully, and as I've seen firsthand throughout my career, if you treat people well, you'll get the best out of them. And in developing this plan with my good friend Jonathan Reynolds, we met countless business, big and small. They welcomed our ambition, and what they told me was simple. Angela, when you raise the floor, it becomes a race to the top, with businesses outdoing each other to get the best talent. This bill delivers that by ensuring employers aren't given the green light to lower standards further, but instead are competing for quality and innovation. That's why we're putting in place those basic protections for everyone. And it's why we're enforcing those rights with a new Fair Work agency, and a proper enforcement body with proper backing will level the playing field and support those who do right by their staff. That is a platform for a fairer and stronger economy. And as Julian says, good businesses not only have nothing to fear from this higher bar all round, but everything to gain. And as Paul said, the polling from the think tank, the IPPR and the TUC has shown the overwhelming majority of managers and senior decision makers believe our reforms, including increased access to sick pay from day one and a ban on exploitative zero-hour contracts, will boost productivity. From the business world to trade unions, there's growing consensus that what's good for workers is good for business. And I couldn't agree more. But I know too that this will represent a big change. And I understand many of you want to work with the government to get the details right. And my commitment is absolute. That's why every step of the way we have engaged with business leaders. And where you have raised concerns, we've listened. That's why we introduced a probation period, because we want business to be able to hire with confidence while still extending new protections to workers. And we'll continue to do that in the weeks and the months ahead. Our partnership with you is fundamental to that. Because for me, as it is for many of you, this is personal. As a young mum facing low pay and insecure hours without much of a safety net, I saw firsthand how it can rob you of opportunities and hold back your ambition. And I saw too the consequences for people I grew up with and in the community that I grew up in. With hollowed out high streets, people left without the skills they need or the chance to provide for their families. That's why I believe so passionately that our plan to make work pay is needed. And it's why I believe that our message is clear. Labour were elected on a platform for change, and we meant it. And this bill is an enormous opportunity, a once-in-a-generation chance to reshape the world of work, to drive a race to the top on standards, and to build an economy that works for working people. So I say, let's deliver it. And thank you to everyone here, especially Julian and those leading the charge with the Good Business Charter, for all your efforts to make this happen and to build a fairer economy that we desperately need. You're the proof that we can do things differently, we can have great growth in this country that affects everybody, and we can have family-friendly working policies that means people can go to work, enjoy their work, and enjoy having a home life too. Thank you.
Those of you that know me will know I'm not often lost for words. But that slight shock there, I'm afraid, that was quite amazing. Quite amazing. Really, when I say shock, in a nice way, amazing. having heard the Deputy Prime Minister speak at our conference. Incredible. Thank you again for coming today. Thank you for speaking to us. A great honour to have you with us. Thank you for your support. Next time you come to our shop in Brighton, I'm going to come all the way down from Yorkshire to serve you. Thank you for everything. Another round of applause. Just a quick one there, please. Thank you. Now that's lovely. Thank you. That concludes our keynote speeches, and Jenny, our wonderful CEO here, will now chair a panel discussion. As the speakers take their place, please join me with a final round of applause for our two brilliant keynote speakers as they get back to running the country. Thank you very much.